What do you know about the 4 domains, or how have you tried to account for that in your instruction?
4 domains in the classroom, I think, is very important. Getting them listening, getting them speaking, getting them writing, and getting them, what was the fourth one that I missed there? Reading. There we go.
Do you have any favorite activities you've done? Because I know you've done a lot of different things.
For writing, journaling, having the kids journal, having the kids write things down, or giving them the opportunity to write things down, and then share with the class.
So they have something scripted before they have to talk all of a sudden in front of their peers.
Yep. And for writing, giving the kids sentence starters to activate the knowledge so they can be successful.
And you're also providing them with that language you talked about, like those mortar words, and then they can just fill in the content that they know, so they don't have to be as scared.
Exactly. So they use it.
Yeah.
Right. And using the language is the key.
We assume that because we are saying the words that kids are just getting them, even though we don't recognize that they also have to read them on a test, and they also have to say them out loud, and just all the different ways that they have to utilize them, and making sure that you create multiple opportunities in your classroom for them to read them and say them and hear them and speak them and all of those things. And not just the specific content words either, but just the academic language that goes along with it, and so that they can hear you use it, and that you create opportunities for them to use it in multiple ways and hear other kids use it, so that when they get to the assessment portion, they're not stumped by the language. They may know they may have the knowledge, but are stumped by the terminology. And so just giving them opportunities to use that, I think, is really important.
I think modeling academic language is the first key.
And how do you do that? Do you do that explicitly, like make them know you're modeling it, or just are you conscious of what
you're consciously talking with academic language and using it as much as possible in class.
How do you identify what language you should be modeling at the time?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess it's just something that I think comes natural to a teacher. I
feel. Is it based on what you're doing though in your class?
Based upon your content, using your vocabulary words whenever you have the opportunity. And for example, in 4th grade math, the kids come up and instead of addition, they say plus, or instead of subtraction, they say minus, and just making sure that you break down that barrier of using the social words, and instead use the academic vocabulary as much as possible, but then also create a link to show them, hey, this means the same thing as this, and then transfer that from the plus or the minus to addition and subtraction, and tell them, we don't use that anymore. Now we use this.
I think what you said is so important, because I think modeling is kind of an easy thing to do if you're thinking, I'm just using my language and they're going to absorb it or whatever. But I like how you pointed out, addition means plus, and this is what you're expected to do, instead of just assuming they're going to make that connection themselves.
Right. Yep.
Which goes back to what you said in the beginning about the, transferring info from one class to the next, or content to the next, or making these connections, and maybe they don't just happen on their own like we think they would.
Right. And some activities that I've used to hopefully improve this with the kids is I've consciously had the kids pair up and discuss things a lot more. The way I have my classroom set up, it's 2 horseshoes, so the people in front are always turning around and talking to the people in back, and we have guidelines set up where they know we're using academic language and having these academic conversations all the time, and make sure that you're explaining to each other why this is what it is, or how you did this.
So you make them elaborate instead of short answer,
Exactly.
1-word answer things.
Yep. And another strategy or activity that I found to be pretty effective in this is the conversation circles, where you have a circle on the inside, circle on the outside, which is basically the same concept as how I have my classroom set up, except for this time they move around the circle. And a lot of times I allow them, before we have those conversation circles, allow them some time to jot a few notes down, so when it does come time to talk, they
Again, are prepared.
They're prepared and feel comfortable with it.
And you've used conversation circles, you're in the elementary now, but you've used it with middle school, right?
Oh yeah, yep.
Okay.
Yep.